Everyone to a SUMERNET training. As you know, the Sustainable Mekong Research Network is all about providing support, facilitation to deliver excellent research in both quality and quantity. And as such, this training today is one of those trainings that we're provided to ensure that we're helping support our projects deliver the best outcomes that they can. Just to reiterate Unchali's advice, a bit of housekeeping. If you could please mute your microphone whilst the presentation is in progress. Obviously keep your camera on if possible, otherwise it's fine to turn it off. Today we're going to be hearing from Rajesh, our expert communication manager. His role over the last few decades across the Southeast Asian area has been to really inform and stimulate discussion about water issues across the Mekong. And as such, he is well versed and very experienced in how and support you as project leaders actually deliver some really nice insights from your projects to a wide-ranging audience through multiple products such as blogs or interviews or podcasts or media. And today we're going to specifically talking about writing for the SUMERNET website. I'd just like to say, as a researcher myself, I am excited for this because I think as researchers we focus on our journal outputs, which are very important, but getting our message out to our boundary partners, to our policy and to all of our audience that's engaged in our project is just as important. So we can use the skills and the learnings that we have today from Rajesh and we can put them into our own language or into our own websites, and we can use them in a variety of different ways, and all of that will help increase our research impact, which means that our research knowledge can reach more people, which I think is the real aim of what we're doing here in SUMERNET, which is producing great research, but also ensuring that it's got a great impact. With that, I'd also like to say, I'm sure these slides are going to be available for people at the end. Of course, the recording will be available. So if you miss something, that's okay. Come back and look at the email with the links attached to it and you can catch up on things. Otherwise, we look forward to your questions in the chat box. And there will be a survey right at the end so that you can provide any comments or feedback that you would like to do. But in that, I'd like to welcome Rajesh and thank him very much for his time today. And I look forward to learning more how to write a blog. Thanks, Rajesh.
Thanks, Leonie. Welcome, everyone. I hope you can see and hear me very clearly. If not, send a chat and someone will alert me. I'm going to open full PowerPoint now. So I hope everybody can see and hear me now. So as Leonie pointed out, I'm sorry. Yeah. So if you have any issue, just put it in the chat so that somebody will alert me on that. So as Leonie pointed out, we are a research network and we are, I think, very, very good at doing journal articles and working papers. The things that we are not so good or people have expressed a need for is training on non-academic writing. And one of the things that we thought we could do was to help people write for the website. So today we're going to look at a particular area of the website called stories, which you can see in the menu. That's the third one on the top. And I will show you how to begin, finish, and submit a story for the website. Obviously, we are given our restraints. Normally, we would have done it in a nice setting, all of us together, physical presence, maybe small groups with cards and charts. We have done so in the past, and that has been extremely useful. But we are trying to see how far we can do that similar things with online. So obviously, I won't be able to do it like a write shop. But I hope to do is to give you enough of an idea of what it means to write a story and what kind of stories there are. Some examples. We will have brief exercises, a couple I have, just to pause, let you digest and think over some things so that you can actually practice it a little bit. It's not a writing workshop, but just an exercise to let you think about it. And then I'll show you a little bit about the template and how we can help support you. With that, let me start my first slide. Obviously, before we even talk of stories and SUMERNET website, there is a question.
Rajesh,
Yes.
I cannot see your slide.
You cannot see my slides?
Yes.
It's gone somehow.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Was it visible in the beginning?
It came in the beginning, but right now it's just switched out. Yeah, it's coming now.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
right now.
it's when I click the big one.
I can.
It's gone now, right?
Right now it's showing.
Okay, it's showing. Okay.
Showing.
Excellent.
Yes. Yes.
So
Thank
let's
you.
continue. Thanks. Oh, it's still showing now?
Yes, it's showing up.
Excellent. And you can see me as well, right?
Yes, we saw you handsome.
Okay, thanks. So, sorry, this is the pitfalls of our online meetings. So to continue, of course, the question also is why write for the Sumnet website? You could also be writing elsewhere. We are aware of that. We have a few reasons, which I hope you find justification enough to start writing for our website, or if you have already, write more for our website. One, of course, is that we've designed the website as a platform for the network. So the network shares things on the platform. It's sharing, it's also learning. And even though it's in English now, we do have plans. It's already designed to have multiple languages, and we have plans to roll it out in the coming years. So we'll start with Thai because we are based here in Bangkok, and then maybe Myanmar or Vietnamese. So it's a nice platform for sharing information. Secondly, we also compile highlights from the website, and it goes out to the network, but it also goes out to other people who, of course, have consented to receive the newsletter, and it reaches policymakers. It also reaches journalists who are interested in our work. And also we promote the website on social media so that people who are scrolling through their Twitter and Facebook get highlights from our website. And the last one is that the stories are always there for research because we are a research network. Website is also fulfilling an important function, not just for sharing, but also as a repository for your knowledge. And in that sense, whatever you write is available for even the younger researchers or coming after you who are interested in water governance or water insecurity. And the most important of all, I think, in my opinion at least, is that you can gain practice because many of you have told me in the past that you would like to write opinion pieces in newspapers. You can gain practice here. You can help write. We can help edit. We can show you how you structure it. You can write 5 or 6 here and then go and bam, write an opinion piece in the Bangkok Post or a regional newspaper. So this is also giving you practice for non-academic writing because when people make the switch from journal articles and working papers to these kind of writings, it's a little different. It's a little smaller. It cannot cram as many ideas as you would like to. And with these stories, we help you to do that. We help to show you how you can do kind of a smallish story that has one highlighted idea, for example. Little bit more on the Sumnet website because these were analytics provided by my younger colleagues, Varya and the website, of course, as I said, has a regular outreach in the Mekong region, especially because of the newsletter. We also found that it is very attractive to a younger demographic. A lot of younger people between the ages of 18 to 34 are finding it interesting. We also know it reaches journalists because some of our regional journalist organizations like Mekong Eye regularly use what we post in the in the website. And as I said, we also have this link with the social media. Again, because of our younger colleagues in the comms team, we're very active on social media and we managed to link both of these very well. In fact, we know that at least 20% in our analysis every month, at least 20% of the users come from social media. They see something there, which is a story, and then they come to the website and explore the website. And in May alone, we had around 1,900 users. Now, of course, when you say users, it doesn't mean all of them spent a lot of time, but there was a minimum of about 2 to 5 minutes at least, where people came, visited the website, went, and some of them were searching for Mekong or water or insecurity, and they came, and others were from the Facebook, and they were directly interested in content. Of course, The website needs to be kept interesting, which means it needs content, and that's why we're reaching out to you as well. Because in the past, most of it has come from in-house. Leonie has written some, has written some, Pan has written some, I have written some, but we want to go outside the secretariat. We want you to contribute more. You have been writing, but we would like, even more. So this, of course, I will be making available this PDF. So don't worry, you can explore this at a later stage. Now, coming now to the website stories. I just wanted to show you that when we talk of stories, people sometimes are intimidated. They don't know what it is. So just to help you through that, I thought we could break it down. These are the kinds of stories that we do in the website. And I will go through each of them with some examples from the website itself. Most of us have written there, and I will use that to show you how it is actually easy to do any of these four. And with practice, you can get better and better at it. First, of course, is an event blog. You just promote an event or you report on an event. Second is something called a Q&A, where you interview someone whose experience is important, or his position or her position is important, or it matters to your work. The third, of course, is you promote your own project. Maybe it's also on the occasion of a world, say the World Environment Day, for example, like we did recently, or you have an activity or you have a field visit you want to promote. It can also be tools like a modeling tool. You're doing flood and erosion and sedimentation assessment, and you want to say, oh, this is what we did recently. Or even a book and a film that either you produced or you have found interesting. We welcome all of those. So all of this can also be a story from our perspective. And the last one is, of course, it's more of an opinion piece, which we write in newspapers, is we provide a perspective or a critique of a debate or a topic. So I'll come to this one by one, so you get a better understanding of what each of these mean and how it's been done. And later on, you can go to the website and look at the examples I've shown to see how it has been written. Just a quick thing on style of writing. It can be personal, we don't mind. Many of us write as I did this, I went there. That's also fine. It can also be collective. You can say the project did this, we went here, we saw this, we think this was interesting, and so on. So our style of writing is quite flexible, and we're happy to help you with editorial support, as I said. Okay, so now going to types of event blogs. Now that's the first one, events. We have lots of events, regional, national, local, and of course, not all of them can be a blog, but it's possible to write in interesting ways about different events. For example, going from the top left, our fellow wrote about a webinar on innovative research methods. Now, if you write this before the event, like he did on May 16th, for the event, which happens about a week or 10 days later, it gives you more participants. So that's a nice way of doing that. If you have an event, possibly that you want the network to attend, and you've already planned that you want people to register, you can write a small blog like this and say, hi, this is a webinar. Please join us. This is going to talk about water use in the Mekong, and it'll help you to promote it. Another way, of course, is what Leonie has done, the Toothless Water Giants. This is a bit of a critique. She has a perspective about transboundary water governance institutions and what they're doing now. And she's written a nice blog. Again, please go and check it out if you haven't. And this gives an interesting angle of what transboundary river governance is and how institutions at present are doing or not doing, or effective or not effective in it. Again, the other one, of course, is by Pin, our former colleague from SEI. She talked about questions of power, politics, and equity. This is also a bit of a perspective. She did a bit of research, so it wasn't just an event, but after the event, she went back, looked at what is going on in terms of reducing water insecurity, and she wrote a blog. So this is a kind of a perspective, but it takes a little more time to do so. And of course, the others are, the ADB ministers meeting was not in this website, but I wanted to show that it's also possible when you have these larger international meetings, the ADB meeting or a World Bank or maybe the EU comes to town, you can also do your perspective on it. Or in this case, we interviewed many people at the meeting and asked what do they mean about natural capital and why it could be helpful. And we wrote a blog about it. So these are different ways of writing an event blog. So again, think about it and and this requires some planning sometimes, because if you're going to an event, you may want to think of, oh, okay, this is the event, this is the agenda, these are the speakers who are coming here. Maybe interesting to see what they say about, say, water insecurity, for example, and then you go to the event. Second one is, this for us is the more simpler form of blogs. It's a Q&A. We do quite a lot of this, and as you can see, this has a range of people. Some are from our own SUMERNET, like Dr. Louis and Dr. Juan. Once we interviewed the MRC strategy officer, and sometimes we have a Q&A among our own researchers, like May did with Bebet. It's also possible that you can also do Q&A among your own research teams. Your research colleague can interview the lead researcher about certain facets of the research just because you want to bring it out. So Q&A is very easy to do, but it requires, again, some planning in terms of the key questions you want to ask and a little bit of flow. Again, we can help you with the editing, but think of this also as one option for you when you want to write about your projects. Maybe you have visited an area, you've visited the local community, they're doing some interesting things. Maybe the head of the committee, a woman, has many interesting perspectives on gender and water insecurity. Prepare a bunch of questions, maybe 3 or 4, just ask her how she came about doing this, why she's doing this, and it's a blog. It'll be a very interesting blog. So think in terms of even your own research questions when you finish your survey and so on. Some of them can be a Q&A. Obviously, all of this Q&As are done with consent. Do not chat to someone, record it, and then come and write it. That is a no-no. We do not allow that. Always have consent. We usually ask for written consent, but oral consent is also fine. You ask them, can I ask you a question about this? And we will publish it in the website. And then if they say yes, fine. If they say no, it's okay. We again do not encourage people being harassed to provide. We are also not journalists. We want also to keep cordial relationships with people. So, there are boundaries. If they are not willing to answer questions, let it go. So that is just a little tip on how to do Q&As as well in terms of consent and etiquette. So at this point, just to give you a little pause to think, we're going to have a short break where it's going to be an exercise for you. You can do it individually. Of course, in a non-pandemic time, we would have done it in groups, but do it individually. Think of these 2 things. One, think of a recent event or maybe something that's coming up in your own line of work, in your own context, in your own local area or city, and write 1 sentence for yourself, no need to share, of why you think this event is important for your research project. Second one is a Q&A. Now, of course, you're free to do one of these, but you can also do both. Again, think of a person, and if possible, put the name and position. Again, no need to share it with us. This is just for you to help think about it. Think of this person that you may have met or you want to meet, and think, okay, 1 question that you can ask about their work that is relevant to your project and that could be interesting to the network or to a wider audience. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes, just some quiet time, also for me to take a breath, and then we will come back to the next slide. Okay, we're back. Is it okay? I hope all of you, or at least most of you, managed to do both. Even if you did one, it's still fine. It's just to help you think through what I've just said. And, eventually, when we work on your blogs, we can come back to this and help you develop a story. So that was the idea of this. Can I continue? Oh, is that fine?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you please say next slide and I can click, because I think you have a problem on the PowerPoint. So right now I'm took the control of the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Sorry to keep you.
No, excellent. So
late. Yes.
So I should stop sharing then, or I've already lost it.
No, you can show it. I just take control, just steal it from you already. You just show it. Yes.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide then. This is actually better because now I can see myself and the audience. Okay, and this is visible full screen for all of you, right? So now going to the next two types of blogs I wanted to talk about in the website. Number 3, promoting. Now we do a lot of this promotion on social media. It is also possible to do it as a blog, where you find something interesting to write about, maybe an idea or an angle or somebody's activity, and you show how that is of wider interest to the network and on water governance. So, for example, these are the examples I have. Let's go with the first one: knowledge co-creation. What it matters for water governance in the Mekong region. In this one, she went to the projects, looked at how they do knowledge creation, and linked it to water governance. Going clockwise, right? Shaping the future. This was a recently formed youth network where a very wonderful, enthusiastic group of young people got together to do a dialogue, and they were wanting to promote their work. Going up, saving water, saving livelihoods. This was very recent, an excellent blog by Umkam, our fellow. Very short blog, again, it doesn't have to be very complex and long. We thought we should do something to highlight one of our projects on World Environment Day. And so Umkam reached out to one of the projects, asked them on this theme. I think apparently the theme for this year was restoration and recovery. He reached out and said, on this theme, what is your project doing? And they said, and they told him, and he wrote a nice blog. We can also promote products, like, for example, from the podcast, which we did series with Leonie, or our book, which we released a few years ago on climate change and development, or short films that we did on climate risks. So your own product, if you've done a short film or you've done a small book or a flyer, it can also be promoted in the blog. I'm hearing some noise. I hope it's okay. Okay, so again, look at these as examples for how you could do promotion of your own work or activity or a tool or book or a product. And then next slide. Oh, please. Okay. Lastly, and I've kept this for last because this is a little more complex. It involves providing your own perspective on a topic. And I know from conversations with researchers that this is also the most intimidating. They're happy to write a 20-page journal article, but when it comes to expressing an opinion, they're somehow sensitive. Not all of you, but many of you have told me that if I say this opinion, will it hurt this? Is this sensitive? There are ways to get around it. For example, it doesn't always have to be a politically sensitive issue. It can be about research, like we've done on remote research and ethics. When you do remote research in the time of pandemic, how do you hold on to ethics? How do you follow the guidelines? You can also do that. Research methods can always be an interesting blog. And in the time of pandemic, there are many people trying to learn from each other how to do research in the pandemic. All the things that you do are, believe me, extremely valuable and extremely useful if you can write a page or even half a page and say, this is how we did this. This is how we met the local community or went to the local organization and talked with them and so on. So again, a couple more examples. One is the rights-based livelihood adaptation. Again, a concept which they wrote about, saying why it's important in terms of hydropower and how it should be incorporated into it. Local knowledge with scientific understanding. It's about how Achan Kanokwan's project is co-creating a Mekong curriculum. So again, what you're doing is already of interest. All you have to do is put it together as an idea and you can write about it. Effective mentoring, this was written by a young person because she was trying to figure out how mentoring is important, how it can be effective. She did research on this. She came up with this table and it got a lot of traffic in the website because a lot of young people, as I said, a younger demographic is interested in the website and they were very interested in how mentoring can be done in research projects. And of course, we're always interested in books and films. If you think of an interesting book that you've read on water governance that's relating to your project or transbound or in a regional sense, feel free to write to us and tell us, hey, this book was very interesting. I'd like to, write about it. It's called a book review, but you can write 500 words saying why it was important, why its messages should be heeded, or why it did not answer something. Maybe there's a gap in the knowledge that the book did not bring. In your view, that was an important gap. You can do that too. It can be a book. It can also be a journal article. We do that all the time. Just because we're also sharing things, and if people read the book and think it's really, really good, and then you point out, oh, this is this flaw that should have been addressed, it helps, and knowledge in building our knowledge. So please don't forget that too. You can share what you've read as a blog as well. So these were the other two types, the last two types. Again, for perspective, presenting your opinion, as I said, I'm not trying to intimidate you, but it can be a little complex. It can be a little daunting if you have not done it before. It's easier to write, okay, this is what we did in research. It's a little more difficult to write, this is what I think needs to be done by the community or by the government, or this is what is a problem or an issue or something. But we can get there. We can help you take the journey from using your own research to writing an opinion on it. So again, now, next slide, please. Again, now we're going to take a short break. This is again in lieu of interaction. I'm trying to help you think and write a bit. Two things. You can choose one or you can do both. Take 2 minutes. One, think of a product or activity in your own research which is important to you. It can be an old one, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be like the most novel thing that was discovered. It's okay. If you've done something 2 years ago and you think it's of importance, it's fine. The idea behind it is to make you think of writing a sentence of why this product is important or relevant to the Sumnet network. So that's what we are asking you to do. Find a sentence that says this assessment tool will help local communities in Myanmar understand sedimentation better, for example. So that's how we are trying to help you with this. Frame a sentence where it says something, a product or a tool or research was important. Second one, a perspective. Again, think of something that has been relevant to you recently. This usually opinion piece, if it is of recent and topical relevance, it's better. People are more interested in reading, oh, what happened to the SDG report that came out last year or last week, or something recent and topical is important. So think of something, a topic or a debate or something that happened recently in your work, in your area, in your country, and write a sentence. This is my opinion on this topic or debate or activity. Again, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. There's no need to share this, so this is just for you as an exercise to think of how you would frame a sentence. Okay, we are back. So I hope that went well. If not, please let us know and reach out to the comms team. As I said, there is no need to share this. This is not a writing workshop. We're just trying to make it a little more interactive and help you think about what we are saying. So that's not just this big presentation done in one big flow. Keep those ideas with yourself and we'll get back to them later. The next part of this, and before I go to this, I would like to know if there are any, we can take 1 or 2 questions that are, if you have any burning questions, raise your hand or do that thing with the teams. If not, I can continue just to check whether things are going well with all of you. Oh, Okay, no questions, I think. Leonie, probably not. I can continue.
Yes, please.
Please continue.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Kun Rajesh. Shayanit, this is Shayanit. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Not the question or comment, but more on just to try to encourage our partners and also project teams that SUMERNET have many communication channel, website, Facebook, and others. So if you write the blog or kind of write any communication piece, we can help promote. And of course, so we can help review also in case you would like to really disseminate your project information. The project could be funded by SUMERNET or maybe other project relevant to the network. So we can kind of see how we can help supporting the dissemination of the work that you have done or you are now doing. So just to be really eager to have some stories or information feed to the network members, not only from secretariat or steering committee or advisors, but really you are those who are very important because you have a lot of interesting work from different countries and connect with the policymaker, boundary partners. I think that's really fascinating, and we should communicate more. Yeah, especially during this time of COVID, we really want to connect more people with a kind of share how we are doing and the things, great things we have done and you have done. Yeah, thank you. So that's just a short message.
Thank you, Janice. Anybody else wants to say anything? Feel free. Otherwise, I'll continue. We do have 30 minutes for discussion, but if you have any burning questions or suggestions, feel free. Otherwise, I can continue. Is it okay? Okay, so so far I've told you why the SUMERNET website is important and why you have to write. And as reinforced by Kunchaina's, it's a great way of showcasing your work. And then I've showed you how it's actually easy to do so. There are many types, and you have all the support here. And it's a nice training ground to practice your writing of non-academic pieces. It's not so easy, but with the support we have and the practice you will get from this, and the fact that it's very easy way to do it, to just get it out there, we encourage you, as Kunchaina said, to do so. Now I'm going to come to the little bit of the admin part of how, again, this is to make it easy for you, but don't have to use this. We have something called a template. Again, the template came from a previous phase where researchers felt that having a template will help them because they don't always know what comes first, what comes second, what comes here, how much of this should come where. And we hope this template will suit all of you in this phase as well. So feel free to see this. It's called the SUMERNET Web Content Template. If you search for it, you can download it. Next slide. So I'll just go through this template briefly, just to show you what is there. Again, as I said, feel free to use it. Look at it. If it doesn't suit your needs, don't. Some people I know are already very good at writing blogs, and we have your blogs already in your website, so you may not need to use it, but others maybe it's useful. So before we begin, and that's what this template helps you do, consider these two things. What is the main point you want to make? Because in our experience with editing and supporting writers, this has been a key issue. People want to make many points. They have many ideas. They want to have 10 things in a one-page blog, a 500-word blog. Not possible and not encouraged as well. Take one main point that you want to make for that blog. It can be about an activity, as I said, or an experience or something that's recent, a meeting that you had. Just one or maybe two, but try to do 1 point. And second thing, related to yourself, related to your expertise, your project, your experience, and then that's what makes it interesting. Otherwise, it's a general thing. People are wondering what's this relevant for. Relate it to yourself. If you are doing something on groundwater and you found something interesting in an activity, relate the two. So do take these things, these two things, and consider them before you begin. Just take 5 minutes and say, what is this point I have to make? And write down. You can write down all the points you want to make, but then pick one or two and start and say why it's relevant. The other thing we would suggest, again from our own writing experiences, think of the audience. I know that when we say audience, many of you think, well, we're writing it for everyone. Actually not. There are some pieces that are relevant to a young researcher or researchers. Some pieces may be targeted at a policy saying this policy could have been better, or this policy is doing great work. So it's going to a policymaker. Sometimes it's an NGO, sometimes it's a mix of the two or three. But one never writes for all. So think of a couple or one key audience and then write for them. And then others will read it, of course, but then you've achieved your target audience and you've told them what they want to hear or what you want them to hear. Now the suggested length for story is around 600. Sometimes we even go with 300 or 400. 600 is we think a decent length. It's about a page. And if you want to extend yourself, it's fine too. It can go up to 2 pages. That's fine. And as far as possible, if you can, because you are the people in the field, and especially in this pandemic, in the past, Agus would go and take photographs. Especially in this pandemic, we cannot travel, so we really are dependent on you for photos as well. So please send photos. And nowadays, I am old enough to remember that we used to fiddle around with aperture and shutter and film speed. Nowadays, you don't have to do anything. You just take your phone and go click and take a bunch of photographs, send it to us. We'll choose a few for your story. So please don't forget photos. Next one, please. Now, a little bit more about the story template. Title, again, don't try to make it final. A title is just to tell you yourself what the story is. We can finalize it later. It can just be anything when you start. Don't make it too long. And also think of words that you think will be useful when people search for. Because you're also searching, you're a researcher, you're searching for things. You know what words matter, what are insecurity, marginalized, policy, If you can think of things that can fit in title, don't worry about too much about it, but a title is, in our perspective, just to help you think about, okay, this is what I want to write about. This is the title of my article, and put it there. That's in the template. Introduction, again, this helps you think of the main idea. If you have 10 ideas, and then you manage to squeeze to 3 in the introduction, try writing those 3, and then you realize, now let's just have this one. Introduction again helps you. When more you write in compressed spaces, the more clarity of thinking of ideas will happen. And then that's what we are also saying. If you can do that with 1 or 2 short sentences, try it. The sentence, the grammar, the spelling doesn't have to be perfect, but the idea is to get your brain to think in those terms. Okay, this idea, this is how I want to write. And as you know, the main point of the introduction, and all of us have written journal articles, our introduction always talks of background research and research gaps. But in a non-academic writing, it's to make sure people move to the next step. And most people sometimes stop with the introduction because it's not interesting for them. We have so much to read, so we just look at the introduction. Is it relevant to me? Probably not. We move on. So introduction should be attractive enough and show the reader that it's relevant to them, and then they can read it. And then, of course, the content is the remainder of the document to write your story. Okay, so we are going to coming to the end of this presentation. Oh, can we go to the next one? Oh, can we go to the next one?
Does it work?
No. Okay, I've moved it. Is it showing the boat person now?
Yes,
Yes.
on my screen, yes, but
Next.
I'm not sure about the others.
Is everybody seeing a person with a boat and the title is called Next Steps?
No, I'm seeing the parts of the story template.
Yes. I see the same page, the parts of the stories.
Try again, or because I shouldn't get it right now. Apologies, this happens now and then with our online meetings.
I think I also have a problem here.
Okay, let me try then. Let me go back to my slide and try.
Thanks, Rajesh. That'll be good.
Rajesh, can you please re-share it again?
Yeah, so can we see next steps now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Can see
can
the
everybody
step.
see? If people can't see, put a thumbs down, then we'll know. Oh,
I think it works now. I think I take the control. It's now on the somebody on the boat and with the next step pages.
excellent. Okay. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes.
excellent. So I'm getting a lot of thumbs up now. Next step. So we're coming to the end of this presentation before the discussion. Just to wrap up this, keep the reader in mind. That's always a good thing to do when you write. Who are you writing for? If you think of audience as a researcher, think of the audience as a policymaker, think of the audience as a person who's in a local community. Your ideas and writing will also be different. Think of that and then write, and then the rest of the article will follow. Now, a few things to wrap this up. We gave you these two exercises, which are 4. And maybe some of you did 1, some of you did all 4, doesn't matter. It was to help you think of it. Use those exercises and come back to me later on and say, I think I want to develop this story. Even if it's just a sentence, don't worry about it. You don't have to come with a draft. This is the main thing we wanted to tell you. Come to us with those 2 lines which we asked you to do. And we'll help you develop your story. This is how we work within our own group. Ung and Varya are writing stories like that. They come up with, say, an idea saying, we want to do this for World Environment Day. We sit, we chat, we write a blog. We can do the same thing for you, of course, through email. Send us that one idea and say, hey, Rajesh, hey, comms team, you think this is possible to do a story on this? And then we can help you. So we can give you ideas, if you come with us a draft, it's even better. We can even give you editing support on the draft. But ideally, if you have idea and outline, we would prefer that, because then we can develop it from the beginning. Once you have a draft, then it's a bit of a difficulty on both sides to try and figure out what's going on and which idea is important and what do you want to do. Editing, we stress the importance of editing because it helps improve quality of content. All of you, some of you may already be brilliant writers of non-academic content. Still, it helps to have one editor take, give a pair of eyes that's outside you looking at it and helps. And also, we have certain style in SUMERNET in terms of phrasing and language. So we also will help you do that. And of course, we can give you tips on writing. We can give you tips on images. Supposing you've given us 5 photos, all of them are long shots of the mountains. We can give you a tip saying, next time, maybe closer to the person, for example. So we can give you tips on images as well. We can also give you tips on research. All of us have research backgrounds, and we can give you tips on how to research a story if you have. So please come to us with ideas and we'll help you with editing. And finally, we have, as I said, 2 wonderful people in the comms team who are helping with the posting of on the website. And you don't have to worry about posting it. You just send us the story and the photo. We'll do the posting and the promotion. We are these guys are very good with social media. They're just like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter all the time, and we can make sure it reaches a wide audience on social media. And as I said before, the website is very strongly linked to the social media. Every time we have something on the website, it goes out on social media, and then it drives traffic back. So we can help you with the social media as well. So these are things we can support you with. I leave it here. After this, the format of this was to have a discussion or questions for about 20 to 30 minutes. We'll see how it goes. I'll give it back to one last slide, and then just for emails, and then I'll give it back to Leonie. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Rajesh. That's great. Now, can I just ask, can everyone see the last slide with the emails and the contact details?
Yes.
Yes, excellent.
Yes, I can see.
Terrific. I was wondering if we could actually have a short introduction and a face as well from the rest of the comms team. You've mentioned both of them. Are they online, and can they sort of open up and say hi and how they can help some of our project teams here?
Maria and Ong, please introduce yourselves and what you do. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Maria Pangwatana, Communication Assistant. So I can help you for posting your piece, promote the event, also other stuff from you. So just reach me by the email, and we are comm team, and we're here for you to help your writing or promote your other stuff. Thanks so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Incam U. I'm SUMERNET Communication Fellow, so I can support everyone to as your communication requirement and as pretty much everything similar with what Faria said. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's terrific. It's always lovely to see a face and a name. To also know that our comms team has got a variety of different cultures and languages that they speak as both their native language, but also as a language that they've learned. And so they are well versed and very experienced in really working with a whole variety of different people and in turning their work into something that's terrific quality and on the website. So as Rajesh said, he'd like to open up for some questions. So I'd like to see, can we open up now? Can people turn on either their camera or their microphone? And perhaps you've got a question. Maybe you want to know how long it takes to get a blog up on the SUMERNET website, or if you do a blog up there, maybe can you send it to your boundary partner so they can also read about the work that you're doing? Is there any questions that are out there?
And if you feel shy, also feel free to write on the chat box, and they will relay it to me. Either way works.
Excellent. Well, as we're waiting, sorry, is there one out there? As we're waiting, I just wanted to ask Rajesh, do policymakers use the SUMERNET website? And have you had any discussions with them about how useful it is or otherwise?
So as far as we know, a good question, because we have not actually done a survey. But as far as we know, the people whom we work with, like a random example can be the MRC, they read our website. The World Bank reads our website. A lot of the donors read our website. CEDA definitely reads. I get sometimes email from Erin about this or that blog, which was interesting. So I would say, in general, I would say yes. Policymakers do read our website, and that's why we're also trying to promote interesting content, because it's a kind of a two-way thing. The more interesting the content, the more people will read it. More they will tell people. Maybe the Swedish ambassador tells his Norwegian counterpart, hey, go read this website. So that's why we're also encouraging you to write more, and then more people will read it as a result.
Thank you. That's great to know, because I certainly know as a researcher that people have read my blogs and have actually reached out to me and asked me to do further work, or even answer some specific questions. Do you have any examples of how the website's been used by the media, Rajesh, to actually get some stories perhaps into the more public-facing media, just from our local research that we do?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I briefly mentioned it, but it's good to get more into it, because media is one of our bigger audiences for the website and for our social media channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, and I forgot YouTube as well, because we do films on and interviews over there. In terms of media, there is Earth Journalism Network, which uses a website as a source for their journalists to write stories. But the other thing that we know and we have noticed is that Mekong Eye is part of Internews, and they have, maybe not part of Internews, but anyway, Mekong Eye, they have a monthly newsletter that goes out, and I think many of you read it. It goes out to more than 500 people in the region. They, I know, read our website because I have a colleague there who's always looking out for stories, and our newsletter as well. We also know that when we did the SUMERNET grant, a lot of them came because of people reaching out and seeing in the website, because we advertised it in social media and website, and they saw it on the website. So there is a certain degree of interest among media people, especially, again, the younger media people are always looking for interesting stories and angles. The other small thing I would say about media is that when we think of media, we nowadays cannot only think of the big media houses. We're not only thinking media of Bangkok Post or South China Morning Post. There are, even to my knowledge, at least a dozen bloggers, for example, in the Vietnam Delta, who are constantly looking and trying to find stories that are relevant to the Mekong, and then they're writing in their own blog, in their own language, of course. So this is an interesting constituency that we haven't really tapped, but we are keeping it in mind, because apart from the big media houses, these people are actually having their own outreach. And as we move along with the website in our ambitious plans to make it more multilingual, I think we can reach out even better to those kind of, bloggers and small filmmakers and YouTubers. So just to make the point that when you think of journalists, think also of these people in your own project areas as well. There may be bloggers and YouTubers. You should reach out to them as well.
That's great. That also raises the last question that I just wanted to check in with you, is that I know when sometimes you post a blog on the Sumnet website, it actually goes through to other social media channels, for example, Twitter or Facebook. Perhaps you can explain to us how that works, and how perhaps some of our members here can actually either tag or look on those to increase the spread of the information.
An excellent question for Varia or or both, if you want. Go ahead, guys. How do you do social media with the blogs?
Yeah, so actually we will promote it in the Twitter and Facebook, but we have to create the good caption to capture the audience. Yes. And when we come up with the not so long caption, we just put it and schedule in the good time as well. For example, we always schedule in the morning or at the lunchtime, so that the follower can see the content. Yes.
Thanks, Arya. If you want to add something, feel free. Otherwise, it's okay. And as she said, a picture is always important. Usually in social media, if you have just the text, it has a lesser reach and engagement than if you put a picture. And a picture with a link is even better than they actually go and read the story. So a picture is usually what we try to do. And Varya is very good, and is also very good at doing these cards where you have a picture, a bit of text, and something interesting there. And we make these cards. It takes a bit of time, right? But it's worth it because then that gives a lot of reach on social media. So we do that for blogs as well.
Excellent. Thanks for that. That's great. I think that also shows that you've got a team of really experienced people here that are comfortable working in social media. So even if you personally aren't, which I know as a researcher, sometimes I get a bit scared about working or engaging in social media or knowing the best way to do it, I can certainly rely on the team of experts that we've got here. So thanks, Varya. That's terrific to know. A question has come up in the chat, so I'd like to share that. And it's actually, could you share some existing blogs? So I'd like to throw that over to Rajesh, perhaps maybe talk through a few that have been good, as well as perhaps share some links or how to actually get copies of them.
Yeah, so these existing blogs in my PowerPoint, I will share it to you soon after this is, you can find it there. And you can go look for them in the website. It gets technically complex if I start sharing the website and loading it now. But so I unfortunately just have to say, given the constraints, I have to ask you to go and look at the website under stories. But you can use my PowerPoint to look for the kind of story that you're interested in. You know, I told you the 4 kinds of stories: the events, the promotion, the thing, perspectives, and look for whichever story you think is interesting, and then go search for it in the website, and then you will find the blog there. You can read it, and then you can even come back to and tell us if you think it's good enough, or if you can do something similar.
Thank you to Varya to just share on the chat box on the World Environment Day for this year. Thank you. And anyone wants to see the sample, just go to that link.
Yeah, but I would suggest that you don't start clicking on links now. This is why I did not put any, but thanks, Varya. This is good to do that, because otherwise people will start going off and clicking and going to the website. Let's stay focused on this training for now. Do your clicking and looking at the website later. All we're saying is that there is the resource already in the PowerPoint. But the Varya's example is an excellent example, and I'm glad she put it there because it came about very, very quickly. We're trying to plan something for World Environment Day. We said there is a theme was ecosystem restoration. So we looked through the projects and we thought one project in Vietnam could be interesting. Contacted them with a couple of questions saying, can you tell us how your project deals with restoration, how exactly it's benefiting local communities, and if you have any key messages. And there was a blog. So please do read that blog, because it's how easy it is actually to write a blog, because you already have the information in your heads, in your projects, in your people. All you have to do is think of the couple of interesting questions which we can help you with, and then you can get 500 words done. And on that, I wanted to throw a question back at you, since it's very quiet out there. And just in terms of now that you've got this presentation and you have the exercise, how many of you think you can have an idea that can be developed? Just to get an idea, because I also know that I've been reviewing all your comms plans, and many of you said you want to write blogs. So maybe you can use this as the launch pad to do so. Can you let us know, maybe by a thumbs up or by a chat, saying you have an idea for a blog? You don't have to say the idea, but at least we know, oh, okay, 3 or 4 people have something going on. So we're asking you the question now. How many of you have an idea for a blog after this presentation that you think you could do? Please put it in the chat box. Nobody? Or maybe later after this presentation? Excellent. Tree from Cambodia, we've got one blog coming up. No pressure, but all we are saying is if you have these ideas, we can help you develop.
Would anyone like to share their blog idea now? I guess everyone has had a chance to think about the 4 different types as Rajesh has stepped through. And I've also been talking to some of the project leaders, and doing blogs is certainly the sorts of activities that people are looking for in the next 6 months. Although there is a lot of focus on doing fieldwork and getting the data in as well, but these are not mutually exclusive. That means you could do both at the same time, and perhaps even the experience of going into the field, taking some pictures, is a really good chance for you to write a blog about your work and the impact it has on particularly gender or human rights or conflict or some of the other areas like that.
We have 2 so far. Excellent. We look forward to working with you, Tree and Pongchai. We can help you develop your blogs. And also, if you have photos, let us know. Tree.
Please come in.
Okay, so while that's coming in, any more questions about blog writing, about outreach? As Leonie was prompting you, you can also ask about social media as well, because a lot of you may be struggling with that. Not just maybe you're writing blogs, but you don't know how to reach social media. Whatever, in terms of non-academic content, this is your space and opportunity. Whatever questions you may have had, you can ask us. And me, Leonie, Varya, and can happy to answer them. Go ahead, Pongchai.
Yes. So thank you very much for the let's say guideline for us. So I have one question. So because our project is dealing with 4 countries, Thai, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and also deal with the socio-economics and ecology part. This means we can produce a lot of story. So do you have any suggestion for us, like how to plan? So if we have a lot of results or message to share. So country by country, so topic by topics.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Good question, because that's how I started this presentation, how to start a blog. That's usually a problem for many of us, including me. It's always difficult to start a blog. Where do you start? What do you do with 4 countries? So quick suggestion, and see how it works. Think of an activity. Are you doing any activity or have done any activity recently in any of those 4 countries? How's that? Pongchai, right? Did you do any activity in recently, and can you tell me what it was? Then I can further develop.
Yes, so right now we can collect only the secondary data, and one country, Cambodia, can do the field work, because the other 3 countries we cannot go out, especially in Bangkok right now. We are get stuck to go to the field. Yeah, so only secondary data of the waters, yeah, and one field data set. Yes.
And did you do any workshop or planning to do any workshop?
Yes, we have a plan.
Okay, have a plan. And what will that workshop be about?
First, we plan to have the focus group to discuss about the current situations, because our project is about wetland and water security. So we would like to understand the local people perception first, and also we want to improve our understanding. Yeah, that is the first step. And then when we get more data, we found the pain point, something like that, we will create a gaming and simulation tool to use with stakeholders, I mean both water users and water managers, to understand the complex system, and if possible, we would like to use it as a decision support system.
Okay. So when the focus group happens,
yes.
You can write a blog about it. You can finish the focus group, You can write a blog saying what happened when you did the focus group, and all of what you said, that's already 2 paragraphs about your work, about local communities, about wetlands. Maybe you can also bring in, if relevant, climate change and how wetlands are helping mitigate climate change, or if you have another angle, you can do that. So you can do a blog. When is your focus group? Is it coming up soon, in a couple of months, maybe? Pongchai?
Yeah, we hope so.
Okay, so that's one suggestion I have. You tie it around the activity so that then you know that you already have something you want to do, to write about in that activity. When you have the focus group, take your photos. When you finish the focus group, write a little bit about what happened. If they consent to having them quoted, you can ask the person who was in the focus group. Maybe there's a woman leader, maybe there's a young person. Ask them for their views, and can be a nice blog about wetlands.
Yes.
So the idea then is to tie it around an activity. Then it's easy for you, right? Then you're already doing the activity. It's in your brain. You're thinking about it. You can write a blog. So if you want to try that approach, that's an easy approach. The second approach I can also give you is to do the Q&A, which I told you. In the focus group, you will obviously have many people, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
you will be talking to them. Pick 1 or 2 and say, look, what do you think about wetlands? Or whatever the question is that you want to ask. I do not know your particular research project that well, but as I said, we can help develop it once we learn more about your research and this person. You can also do a Q&A, short Q&A saying, this person attended our focus group and shared interesting perspectives on how local communities are using the wetlands. And it's a nice blog. Is that useful for you, Pongchai?
Yes, thank you.
So yeah, think about it. Again, these things like we're doing right now is what we're also encouraging you to do. Come to us with ideas. We can come back to you with ideas. You can tell us, no, this doesn't work. We can tell you, try this one, and then you can do a nice blog. And also remember, once you do one blog, you can do many things with it. Like Kunchaina said, we're not just doing it for the website. There's social media, there's other things. You can even translate it back to your language and give it back to the local community, and they'll be like, oh, this is interesting. So, you know, what we're trying to do is one product which can then have many ripple effects. I had, yeah, if that's useful, Pongchai, we can go to the next one from
Lao.
Does blog web is free to use? Could you explain that question, Kamu?
Yes. Hello, everyone. It is first time for me that I tried for blog training. So it's not I'm not familiar to use for blog, but I used to use in Facebook, and I'm not sure is blog web is free to use or not. It's mean like if I have I want to post some activities on my project, it is free for you for post, or it does that? Thank you.
Okay. So when we say blog, what we mean is the website. I put the link there, Kamu. So when you click on the website, and don't do it now,
yes.
You can do it later after the presentation. In this website, you have a section for stories. What we mean by blog is that section on stories. And if you write a Word document and send to us, we will put it in that website. So for like Facebook offers a platform for you to write. The website is offering a platform for you to write. You can post on Facebook two lines saying, hey, I went to Kamuan and I met the rice farmer. What we're saying is you can do something little more in the website. You met the farmer, what was she doing? What was she worried about? Something like that. And then it becomes a blog, a story. When we say blog, what we mean is a story about your work, about your activity, about your product or research. So the website platform, similar to Facebook, a blog, a story which you put on the website, and then we can reach many people. So yes, it is free, but it takes a bit of work to do some writing in English. We can help you. And then, yes, we can be advertised in the website. Is that useful, Kamu?
So it's more one more question. After we write story that we put in there, had someone to recorrect it, right? Recheck the story. It means because I'm not sure with my English writing, so there's someone to correct it, right?
You will not be posting it. You will be sending it to me or Varia or and we will check.
Okay.
We'll check the English, check the story. We will make sure you have permission to quote people if you are, quoting people, and make sure the language is fine. We also make sure this is a difficult region. Make sure nothing politically sensitive, and then we will post the story for you. You don't have to do anything; you just have to write. And
Okay. Thank you.
There's one more question. How often should be updated of the blogs? Pinara, can you explain this question to me?
Yes, hello, sir and everybody. So I also it is my first time for blog. I never try it, but I think the blog I saw that it should be some updates about the activity 1, 2, 3. It should be a series or something that should be posted in the blog. Yes. So could you understand it? I mean that, for example, for 1 year, how often that we should send you the story? How many stories, something like that, or yeah.
It's up to you. I'm sure Conchinus and Agus may have some preference because I don't know, in your comms plan and in your grant agreement, maybe you agree to do some blogs. In many of your comms plan, I saw that many of you wrote that you want to do one story in the website. So you don't have to do it too often. You can do maybe one at the beginning of your project, one in the middle, and one at the end. That's fine too. Or if you want to keep on regularly sending us stories about your work, that's fine too. That's actually, we would love that because then people get to know about your work on an ongoing basis. So the frequency and updating is up to you. We encourage you to contact us as frequently as possible and send us updates of your work. But as I said, use the template so that it gives you, 500 words. Otherwise, if you just give us an update of 2 sentences, then it's difficult. Try to build something with it. This is part of the training as well. Non-academic writing, not just one paragraph, but something that's substantive, that has a story in it, and it's about a page with a photo. Try to do that. If you can do it more often, it's more practice for you, then you can get better at it. If you don't have time, and we know many of you do not have time, there are so many things to do. So maybe once in a while you can send us something about your work. That's fine too. Really, it's up to you how often you want to keep us updated about your work. Agus and Chinese, feel free to drop in and provide encouragement or information.
Thank you. I could understand.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Krapum.
Okay. So that's a very good question. I think how often we should write a blog, right? It's really depend on the content of your research project and your projects. So as Kun Rajesh has mentioned, through our projects, granting agreement, we often ask all projects to write communication products. It could be blog or film, it could be some news articles. So it's really up to the project that propose. I'm not sure how about your project. Maybe you can check with the project leaders what kind of communications products that the projects have promised. But beyond that, we still encourage not like if you say that at the beginning in your project proposals, you say that you will do one theme, but you did not say anything about blog. But through this learning training process, if you feel that you like to share some interesting information, it could be, as Kun Rajesh mentioned, the events or some initial finding or interesting findings or something deeply you want to talk about your projects, you can initiate that also. So I say maybe as an initial point or like a beginner, maybe we could aim at least like 1 or 2 blocks over the project period. So maybe can you share with me which project you are from?
Yes, I am Panara. I'm from the project Flood Camp, so from Cambodia.
Okay, I see. So this is a joint action project, right? Yeah. So
Yes.
it's led by ITC, right? So okay,
Yes.
so these projects will last about 2 years, and I think that for 2 years projects, it's good timing if you could write at least 1 or 2 a year. I mean 2 or 3 blocks. Yeah, so in total would be excellent, because I guess the project will do other communication products as well. But for learning process and communications about the project, what going on about project, we don't need to wait until the end of the project to write something. Even when you kind of first 6 months, you probably can write some contents about the events or about what you have really learn by interacting with the stakeholders, that kind of stuff. So maybe for the beginner, at least 1 or 2 as a starting point for the first year. I think that will be really useful. Yeah, that's my suggestions.
Thank you. That's good to learn as well. Yes, thank you.
If nobody else, over to you, Leonie.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Rajesh. That was really, I think, a really good discussion, but also some really good information that you've shared. And I know now that everyone has started writing a blog. And so I know Rajesh and the team are looking forward to actually seeing some of those ideas come through to them so they can help you. Every project in SUMERNET actually has a requirement for doing a blog or a communications product that is different to a journal article. So maybe I know that on this training here today that we have quite a number of more junior staff or staff that are just starting out their academic career. And this might be a really good opportunity for you to perhaps step up and say, hey, I'd like to help write that blog. I'd like to be part of that team that delivers this, which is a somewhat different type of product for researchers, but something that more funders are asking for more and more. So I think that we're only going to see an increase in the number of blogs that are coming out. But before everyone goes, I know that we've got a survey online, and the survey is really helpful for us to actually understand what worked or what didn't in this session, and also for us to gather what would be most useful for you in our next training sessions. So could I just ask that we put up that survey, Agus or Onkam? Could you please send a link to that, or have you got a slide that you'd like to share with people? Great.
Yes,
so Onkam,
I just shared in the chat box. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks. So if everyone could open up the chat box, that might be, if you haven't seen it before, it's a small bubble with two lines on the top of your Teams sort of window. If you can open up the chat box, and you'll see the last comment is from Onkam, and he's got a survey there. It's a VVox app survey. And if you could please jump onto that and say, and so you can fill that in as we go. So whilst I'd like you to do that whilst you're here, I know many of you would leave, and I'd like to, before you go, say a big thank you for your time today. It's terrific that you've been able to really share in some of the knowledge, and I'd like to thank our presenter Rajesh and his team in the comms team for providing their time and insight and opening up that opportunity for you now to come and talk to them. So thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.